So my name is Mr. Makua from the RMIS. One of other things that I think we must be clear, Molebogeng, is that the meeting is on record. Everyone who's in the meeting, just know that you're on record. The recording will be uploaded on RMIS platform, which is the YouTube channel called the Red Meat Industry Services. So please, if you feel like you are in the wrong place, you can be excused in case if you don't feel comfortable being part of the meeting. Yeah, but then my name is Ernest Makua from RMIS. My presentation is just going to start. I'm going to just provide a brief overview of what is RMIS, the Red Meat Industry Services. What do we stand for, and what do we actually do? So for those people who don't know, I'm sure AFASA, all of the members of AFASA understand this. But for those ones who might be part of this meeting and not understand the meaning. So the Red Meat Industry Services, normally when I explain it, is I say we operate more like the SARS of the livestock industry. So we are Thank you. I see someone was also talking. Please, can everyone switch off their mics just for the duration of the presentation?
Yes, we just put them on mute. You're good to go.
Okay, thank you. All right. So yes, we provide services for the primary producers, which are the ruminant farmers, that is cattle, sheep, and goat. We collect and manage the statutory levy on behalf of the farmers. So, but then the question will arise always when I do the presentation as to how do you manage the levies, or what are the services that you provide, and how do you collect the levies? So we collect all the levies from the abattoir, from the processing side. So the amount of levies that we collect is not the same for small stock and for large stock. For all cattle that get to be slaughtered in all registered abattoirs in the country, we collect about 15.5 cents. Then for small stock, that is cattle and sheep, we collect about 2.93 cents. Please excuse the the pricing that you see on the screen is not updated. So, but then what do we actually do as RMIS with the levies that we collect? That is in lighter note, or on a lighter note, perhaps you can call it text. So we have 4 pillars, 4 key focuses areas. That is your animal and public health. Then under that services, we provide the support to National Department of Agriculture in terms of disease control or disease management, so that the interests of the farmers or the primary producers are also sort of like met in a sense that we can be able to assist where possible, especially in terms of control of disease in the country, particularly the disease that affect the livestock. And also in terms of public health, that speaks to the Meat Inspection Act 40 of 2000. So speaks to that the carcasses or the red meat products that get to be in the retail stores, are they good for consumption? Is there any foreign or medication residues that might be detected on the carcasses? And then are they going to cause any harm to the consumers and so forth? That is number 1. Number 2, I'm going to skip it. I'm going to go to number 3, which is market access. The market access, the Red Meat Industry Services, in collaboration with other stakeholders, your National Department of Agriculture and other stakeholders, we negotiate on behalf of the primary producers to ensure that we export, or there is market access for producers within the country, number 1, but also we can export other red meat products to other countries, so that we can be able to, or the primary producers can be able to make profit, number 1, and also be able to run their enterprises sustainably. So that is your number 2. Number 3 is competitiveness as sustainability. sustainability in a sense that that is what I just spoke about, which is you as the primary producers being able to be sustainable and profitable in your own enterprises. So under this pillar, we also have research. We're funding research that has to do with parameters that are meant to uplift or to develop or to assist the primary producers so that they can be sustainable in their own enterprise. For example, I can talk about the carcass grading system. We have baseline studies that speaks to the carcass grading system so that they can be a value added, on the product that we get to sell to other countries or to other international countries so that we can have that value added and we can be able to make premiums in our products. So, but then the other competition, normally I do comparisons to say that the red meat as a source of protein in competition with other sources of protein like your chicken, normally say we don't have any beef with chicken. So we actually just ensuring that we put the consumption of red meat ahead of any other commodity. That is competitiveness and sustainability. And the last pillar there speaks to inclusive growth. That is a nice way of saying transformation. So under that inclusive growth, we have programs that are meant to uplift the emerging farmers so that they can be able to move from being emerging farmers to commercial, or they can also be able to contribute meaningfully in the formal red meat value chain. And we do provide trainings. At the moment, we only have industry-related trainings, management trainings, which are meant only to provide information that can assist the livestock farmers to be profitable, to have the know-how, particularly the emerging farmers that are found within the communities, whereby they don't understand the how in terms of market requirements, your auctioneers, your feedlots, your abattoirs in terms of the requirements, so that they can be able to comply, and as in when they sell their livestock, and they can be able to make better profit and be sustainable in their own enterprises. So under that pillar, we also have webinars. Webinars is online sessions like the one that we are having here, whereby we invite people with expertise to come and share information that can be helpful for the primary producers so that they can develop and improve on how they do their day-to-day activities. For example, last year, December, we invited AMT to come and share information about the factors that influence the market or influence the price. As you may understand that the beef price or the red meat product prices, they change well over time. What takes place or what is happening this week is going to influence the price for next week, beef price for next week. So he was actually going into detail about the factors that will actually affect the price in the red meat space. So those are the programs that we provide under inclusive growth. But now, amongst other things that are the key drivers of the industry is the traceability platform, which we are enrolling as the RMIS. But then for those ones who may not understand what actually is traceability is a tool that the role player within the formal red meat value chain can have information about the product in hand in terms of where it comes from. In this scenario, we are talking about movement of animals, let's say, for example, with the traceability platform. But just to be clear, the RMIS doesn't have the traceability system or is not trying to have traceability system. RMIS is trying to it has a platform. Under the platform, we have different record keeping system. Please, can you get me just as candidate charger laptop? So my laptop battery is dying. So under the platform that we have got different record keeping system that the farmers may choose from those systems, but the system are integrated to our platform. Then the farmers can choose which system to use, and then so that they can use that system for recording their production data or whatever. So, but the production data that you are recording as a role player, we're not going to have access to the production data. What matters most for us as the RMIS is the movement of animals, as in when those animals, they are moving from one geofence to another. But then the question is, how do we track down the movement? So there's what we call global location number, the GLN. That is a reference. It's sort of like we are trying to provide passport for movement of cattle, like we do with people when you move from one country to another. So that reference number is going to be required for by the buyers. In this instance, it's going to be the auctioneers, the feedlot, or the abattoirs, or it can be other farmers buying from you. So that they can determine whether they should rather go ahead with purchasing the livestock that come from that specific location. For example, there are some specific locations whereby they've got high outbreak of foot and mouth disease. So in this specific case, the buyer will have interest in knowing where do you come from, so that he can determine whether he needs to go ahead in terms of purchasing the livestock that comes from those locations. Not to exclude you from the market, but so that he can determine whether how he should go about in terms of treating those animal isolation and other important procedures that need to be in place, so that those specific animals, should there be problem or any infection for any disease or the other, for example, FMD, the disease is not transmitted from those group of animals to the other heads. So that is your traceability system. That is your traceability. So we only interested in the movement of animals, not on the production data. But then we realized that for emerging farmers, some of them, they may not be interested in using any of the record keeping system. Then we provide for RMIS movement app. So the app, you can use it for when you're going to sell or you're moving your animals from one geofence or from where you come from to the other place, or someone who's moving animals can definitely use the app. So that you can be able to, or we can be able to see or trace the movement of those animals, as in when they move from one geofence or from one location, from one village, or from one specific farm to another. That is the traceability system that we are trying to implement. So we are not forcing down any form of record keeping system to anyone, but we just providing variation in terms of data, in terms of the record keeping system that any role player can choose from. This is from the farmer perspective, from the auctioneer's perspective, from the feedlot perspective, and also abattoir perspective. So for those ones who might struggle with this, we are working very well with AFASA. If you need assistance, you can speak to AFASA. You can speak in particular to the CEO of AFASA, and by extension, and then definitely they will be able to assist you. Right, so now I'm moving along to, so I spoke about the record keeping system that we already have integrated under our platform. That is the list of those record keeping systems. If you need that list, we can always provide that list to you and explain to you what they do, or link you to any of the record keeping system. But you have to pay for a subscription fee, because those record keeping system, you're gonna use them for capturing data, which is going to assist you in terms of managing your head. But then if you don't want to use any of the system, we also have our own app, which is the Livestock or RMIS movement app. Now, okay, I spoke about the webinars, I spoke about the trainings. Then the other thing that we have, we also have a mobile handling facility, or mobile unit, as we call it. So this unit you see on your screen is meant for assisting, especially, let's say, for example, now in the case of foot and mouth disease, we can definitely, upon request, assist the state in terms of ensuring that wherever they need to vaccinate their animals, there is some sort of facility that they can use for vaccination. Because we understand that not all the locations have handling facilities. And some of the facilities have dilapidated. So then that is why the industry provide for that kind of facility, so that you can be able to, or the state, they can be able to vaccinate with ease and speed for some locations or regions whereby there's no facilities. And also we can definitely assist upon request as well, a group of farmers who need assistance in terms of brand marking and other interventions, so that you can do that with these as well. So now I'm going to, that was a little bit of a formal part, or well, yeah, now structured part. Now I'm going to move into part 2 of the presentation, which speaks more about production. This one is very fun. So normally what I do, I ask the people which are the farmers in the main, whether are you running a business or are you running a business or business. There's a distinction between the two. There's someone who's running a business, meaning the person is busy, is running around, is dressing nice, looking like a farmer, taking pictures, uploading on social media, so that other people can see that we have that vibe. And then we still also, those people falls under the same category with those ones who are just livestock owners. There's difference between livestock owner and a farmer. So livestock owner is someone who have cattle, but he doesn't know anything about the cattle. He doesn't collect any production data, no record keeping system or record keeping book or anything. He just have cattle. He doesn't know which one is calving when, doesn't have a bull. He doesn't understand the value of having bull, just cattle. So those people in most cases are found within communal areas. And sometimes it's not by choice, it's because people don't understand the value of having cattle. They still don't understand that having 5 cattle or 6 cattle, you are still running a business, so it's an enterprise. So you need to make profit so that you can be sustainable and use that opportunity to support your family, or maybe be able to move on in with life, especially in this difficult economy. So you need to also have a breeding program. What is a breeding program? What is the purpose of having a breeding program? The breeding program provides for people who have breeding program, you will have an idea in terms of when to vaccinate for what type of feed that you need to feed your livestock within different stages of production. Let's speak about what you're looking at now. So what you are looking at now is different seasons, different months, different stages of production. Let's talk about summer. In summer, normally what we recommend, or what I recommend, is that you need to supplement your livestock with phosphate. Why do you need to do so? Because our land doesn't have sufficient phosphate. Then you need to supplement that, because it's very important in terms of stimulating appetite and for the development of structure and so forth. So you need to supplement for it. I'm not saying you must never supplement for other nutrients. That is a disclaimer. I'm saying it's more important. And I'm not saying you must never supplement it across other seasons, but it's very important to supplement for it during that period, because then at least the grass is greener in most cases, depending on the region that you come from. Then you know that when the grass is greener, meaning that the animals, chances are they are going to have enough food to eat. But then the question will be, does the grass have the required nutrients? There's palatable grass, there's unpalatable grass, there's grasses that are in between. So you need to speak to people who has expertise in terms of pasture management or pasture point of view, so that they can advise you accordingly. And in winter, you need to supplement for protein. Why do you need to supplement for protein? Because the grass is dry. You can see on your screen between June and July. This is the period that we are in now. So the grass is dry. Then the crude protein percentage, it drops below 6%. So what does that mean? It means even if the animal does consume as much grass as possible, there will still be shortage of nutrients. And then that is going to affect the body condition score of the cattle. So therefore, you need to supplement your cattle with supplementary feed that has more protein, so that you can maintain the body condition score. Because if the body condition score declines, that is the light trimester, or the last 3 months of pregnancy, and immediately after that is the calving season. And if some of your cows go to calving with poor body condition score, what will happen is that now you'll start having problems with prolapses, because during the periodism when the animals is pushing during the calving period, it pushes everything, or it pushes outside the things that are not supposed to be outside. Then why is that happening? Is because the muscles are very weak. The female's muscles, they are very weak. And if they are weak during the pushing period, I'll call it a pushing period, during the pushing period, and then also then that is the period whereby you're gonna start having problems with prolapses. That is from a nutrition point of view. Then the other important thing why you need to have a breeding program is because then you need to isolate the bull from the females. In my language, we say, so you need to have a resting period, because what will happen if you keep the bull with the females throughout the season? Ultimately, the bull will lose interest because he sees the females every time. He knows that even if I don't get it today, well, even if I can ignore her today, there's still tomorrow and there's still next week and next of next week. So the isolation period is provided for so that you can be able to also ensure that the bull has resting periods, but also you can be able to supplement it with the required feed and nutrients so that it can be able to regain the strength, so that breeding period, when it comes, it can be able to ensure that all the females are pregnant or they conceive. And that is the other thing. But the other thing is also to also be able to manage the calving period and the weaning period so that you also can give the pregnant females time to, so that they can be able to graze and regain the body condition score without any disturbance from the calves. So that's the other thing. The other important thing is because you are running a business. If you're running a business, you don't want to do different activities in two different occasions. Let's talk about the dehorning season. You don't want to dehorn 3 calves today, wait for 3 weeks and dehorn the other ones, wait for another weeks and dehorn. So you want to integrate your activities so that you can do everything at a more or less same time. So, and also when you sell, if you want to sell 10, you can sell 10. You don't want to sell one today and sell the other one after 2 weeks. So it's going to help you in terms of making sure that you are sustainable. Then also you are profitable as well. That is the whole purpose. Then you know that you are running a business. You have a record keeping system, and then you are using a breeding program, which is also going to assist in terms of ensuring that you integrate your activities on the farm. So now let's talk about the body condition score. In South Africa, I'm sure most of us, we are aware that our body condition score range from 1 to 5. 1 meaning that the animal is too thin, 5 meaning that the animal is too fat. And if the female is at any body condition score, number 1 or number 5, we call it poor body condition score, because nature itself doesn't allow for female to be at body condition score number 1, because it will not be able to carry the futures, because the muscles are weak, the body structure, animals is very weak. Normally, I make jokes to say that if you take care of your wife, she might be able to give you 3 to 5 kids a year. I know you guys are muted, you may not be able to relate to my joke, but the point here is you need to feed your animals and make sure that you keep them at body condition score, which is more optimal, body condition score number 3, because then at number 3, according to the studies or research, indicates that animals or females that are in body condition score number 3, they are likely to go on heat more often. And if they get a bull, they are likely to conceive much faster than animals that are overfed or animals that are underfed. So you need to make sure that you keep your females at body condition score number 3, or at least not anywhere higher than number 3.5 or less than 2, because then you're going to start having problems in terms of conception and in terms of ensuring that your animals go on heat on time. What you are looking at here is just for a disclaimer, I took this from AfriVet, is a diagram that indicates that for animals that give birth at body condition score anything below 3, when they give birth during calving season, it will take it more than 3 months before it goes back to heat. So then that is, what does that tell us? It tells us that we need to make sure that by all means, even just before calving season, which is now, during the period when the grass is dry, you need to supplement your animals so that the body condition score, it doesn't go anywhere below number 3, so that you can have that period of 60 days of heat period immediately after calving. Because if the period extends, what it means that you have to feed an animal additional 2 or 3 months before it goes on heat. It extends the heat period, and then what it does also, it reduces the profit margin, meaning you have to feed it for 2 additional months, pay your headman 2 additional months just before you get another half calf. And all of that has to do with nutrition, by extension, body condition score. Right. Now, the other thing there you can see is the research that was done long time ago before I was born. It indicates the correlation between the body condition score and the conception rate. You can see there between when the animal is between 3 and 3.5, the conception rate is above 90%. But if the animal body condition is below 3 or is above 3.5, the animal body condition, the conception rate declines below 90%. Can even go as further as 50% or less than 40%. So you need to keep your livestock body condition score at optimal at all times. Now let's talk about bull selection. Normally I say bull must look like a bull. A bull must look like a bull. Just to make comparison with a man, like I normally say a man must look like a man. You must say this. Boys, you must look a little bit ugly. You must be dark in color. You must never be a yellow bone, because yellow bones, they have got reputation of being weak by nature. So it's a joke. So but here let's bring it home. A bull, in terms of physical appearance, the phenotypes, especially for us, the communal farmers, because we may not have the financial muscles to go and buy the stud bulls or commercial bulls. Let's stick to physical appearance. The forehead must be flat and broad, and the neck must be short and masculine. That is an indication of a good, or is an indication of high testosterone level. A bull with low testosterone level, meaning it won't assist in terms of ensuring that the females in the herd, they conceive. So normally we say the industry standard is that one bull is 25 females. So a matured bull of 2 years can be able to breed during a breeding season, or it can be able to service about 25 females. So then if a bull that is about 2 years has some of the deformatives, like maybe low testosterone level, that can also be below 25. So depending on the experience of the bull, a bull can be able to breed with up to 35 females, some they say 40, but then you cannot increase the ratio that high, because the experience, only the bull knows the experience it has. You cannot determine the experience of the bull to that extent. So you'd rather be safe, keep it maybe to 30 or to 28, or just keep it to 25, just to be safe. Now, amongst other things that you must look for, maybe just before, about the neck. The neck must be short and masculine. Why the neck must never be, or a bull must never have a giraffe, like a neck, a giraffe, I'll say giraffe neck, is because from time to time, bulls by nature, they tend to fight with other animals, or fight with other bulls, fight amongst themselves, or fight with other cattle. So then if the neck is that long, it will easily sustain injuries on the neck. And then what will happen as a result, the bull will start struggling with what? With grazing, because then as and when it grazes, it has to move, or it needs to move the neck. Then by extension, the body condition score will be affected, the structure in terms of how it looks, the body condition, and so forth. And then if the body condition is affected, by extension, it affects the breeding and the production, and to extent also of the semen and other things, because it affects the nutrition part of a bull. So you need to select a bull with short neck, not only short neck, but with a very masculine neck, so that you can be able to get the attributes of the results that you are looking for as a farmer. The jaw, the upper jaw and the lower jaw. The lower jaw must not be far apart from the upper jaw. Why? Not only for a bull, because then tongue is attached to the lower jaw. And then if the lower jaw is far beyond the upper jaw, the animal will struggle with grazing, and then the body condition will be affected, and then etc. etc. So it's very important. Now let's talk about the sheath. Physically, when you buy a bull, amongst other things that you must assess is the sheath. So the sheath is what you see there. It must not extend, or it must not extend too low or too high. What is too low or too high? You look at the hind legs knees. If the sheath extends beyond the knees, you know it's too low. And then if it's too low, chances are high that it's going to be prone to, or the grass seed will penetrate the foreskin. Let me call it the foreskin. Will penetrate the foreskin, and then it will damage the prepuce or the penis. It must not also be too short, because the penis or the prepuce will be hanging out half the time, and then it would also be prone to damages and also trap dead and other things. So you need to have a sheath that is exactly like the one that you see on your left. Then you know that you might not experience any problems. Now, someone asked me, normally I say, I was presenting this on one of the Farmers' Day. Someone asked me, does the size matter? Does the size matter? Yes, the size does matter. The size matter because the size determines the performance of the bull, right? So the size here, we're talking about the size of the testicles. So the testicular size or the testicle size and the shape of the testicles does matter. Smaller testicles are associated with poor fertility. So you must look out for testicles. Don't just buy a bull because it's too nice or it looks very beautiful or it looks very masculine. You must also look at the testicles, because if the testicles are too small, chances are the bull will struggle with fertility, or even if the bull fertilizes some of the females, the offspring of the females or the calves that are born from that bull that are females, they will also struggle. According to research, they might struggle with fertility as well. So the right size of the testicles, it depends on breed to breed, but for Bonsmara purposes, or for Bonsmara or farmers who are farming with Bonsmaras, it must be more or less around 32 centimeters. There's what we call testicular tape that normally is used by some farmers to measure the testicle size. So it's very important to pay attention to those things. The neck of the scrotum must not accumulate a lot of fat, because it's also going to affect the flow of blood, and it also can inflate the body, the temperature of the testicles. So this is very important. Let's define the testicles. What is the importance of scrotum? The purpose of scrotum is to regulate temperature. So now that is why the shape is very important. That is why you will see, if you walk across your head during the winter season, most of the time, especially in the morning, the scrotum will extend higher, so that the testicles are not exposed to too low temperature. And then during the day when it's too hot, and then the testicles will extend too low, so that it's not also exposed to too high temperature as well. So the testicles as well must never hang too low, because if they hang too low below the knees, the bull loses the control of these testicles as it walks, and then the testicles get to be prone to injuries as well. So it's very important to pay attention to that. But the other thing that I want to underscore is the fact that also you must pay attention to hair, because too much hair around the testicles also can increase the temperature, and then can affect the production of sperm, and how the bull, by extension, how the bull performs. And also it's going to affect your profitability, because if a bull is in your head and is not able to assist your female to conceive, then you might, or you will definitely have problems, because then the profitability will be a problem, and then sustainability by extension as well. there will be problems. There are some of the bulls that are born with these shapes, and we call it testicular hyperplasia. So it's deformative. So you just have to raise that kind of bulls and sell them to market, because chances are that it's not going to be able to perform the duties. You are just going to have a bull, which is a bull, but it's not giving you any money. So you don't want to have such situations, because then it's just taking a lot of money from your pocket in a form of feed and medication and other things, but you are not getting any returns from it. So as a farmer who's running a business, you don't want to find yourself in such situations. Now, let's talk about the legs. The legs must be strong and sound. You don't want to buy a bull with kiss madol, because why? The hind legs, they are very important in terms of balance, because what happens is that during the mating period, the bull will use the hind legs for balance purposes or for balancing purposes. And then if the legs have deformities like the hog legs or the bracket legs, or the legs that are not of good balance, it might trip and fall or sustain injury in one of the legs or both legs. And then what will normally happen is that the bull will stop mating, because it needs the balance of the leg and it feels the pain from either two or one of the legs. Then you're gonna have problems. And if you keep it, then you're just gonna keep an animal that is not assisting in terms of production. Right now, the hoofs. The hoofs are more of like the shoes. If you wear size 7, I provide you with size 8, well, size 2. What's going to happen is that you're going to get tired very easily. And this is very applicable, especially for the farmers who are farming in communal setups, because what happens there, you release your animals in the morning, and then in the afternoon, the herdsman will have to bring the animals into the kraal. Then the animals get to walk longer distances, get to cover longer distances. And if the hoof is lighter in complexion, it tends to, the cattle tends to lose its balance much faster, because the hoof is not strong. You need to target black hoofs, because the black hoofs, they last longer, even in some instances whereby the animal will have to cover longer distances, and then you will still be sorted. But why do I mention this? Is because if animals start sidestepping or losing balances, it will get tired very easily, and then it will still have to cover longer distances. And then if the animal was supposed to spend 2 hours of the day in grazing, or let's say 7 hours for argument's sake, it will start now spending about 3 hours. And then by extension, that affects the amount of food that specific animal will have to consume per day. And then it will definitely, by extension, affect the body condition score. And then ultimately, if the body condition score declines, the conception rate also will decline, the calving percentage will decline, the profitability of your enterprise will decline, and by extension, you know that then you won't be able to make profit, and then you won't also be able to be profitable or sustainable. So you need to definitely pay attention to those things, because they are very important. And the other thing now, moving on from bull to cow, the pelvic bone is very important, because that is also linked to dystocia, that is difficulty in calving. So you need to assess your females in terms of the pelvic bone. If you look in this one, you will see that this is a better picture that will give you a definition, or a better definition in terms of pelvic bone, in terms of how it should be. It must never be too steep or too flat. You'd rather have it a little bit slopey, because if it's too flat, like the cow that you see on your right, it blocks the channel during when the animal is calving, the channel for which the calf will need to pass through during the calving season. Therefore, then you're going to have problems with dystocia, or with that calf coming out, and a few things might happen during the process. The calf might die from the inside of the animal, or you may have to come and assist the calf, or the calf to calf. And the other thing might happen, that the calf might come out, but then it might come out dead. Then you're going to lose as a farmer. And in the worst case scenario, both the animals or both the cow or the female and the calf might die on the spot. So, and these are some of the things that you can definitely avoid by assessing your females, and so that especially for the first calving, the heifers, because they are calving for the first time, the reproductive organ, the reproductive organ of the calves is not yet used to stretching or calving. Therefore, from time to time, animals that are calving for the first time or females that are calving for the first time, they'll struggle with calving because the system is not yet used to that. But then the second calvers or third calvers and fourth calvers, they might get away with that. But you still have to assess that, because then you might have problems with dystocia. So it's not the only thing that attributes to dystocia. The other thing that attributes to dystocia is the size of the calves, and that has to do with the bull. That is we call it the breeding values. If you buy the stud bulls, you'll have all those indicators to say that at calving, what is the size of the calf or the body weight of the calf at calving? What type of offspring does the bull produces in terms of size? Then you can determine whether you go ahead in terms of using that size of a bull or that type of a bull, because it's going to provide you with much higher size of bulls, higher size of calves. And then as a result, you might, or the calf might have the cows might have problems with calving, because the size of calves are much bigger than the opening or the structure of the female. So it's amongst other things that contributes. It's the size of the calf, is the pelvic bone from the females that affects or that causes dystocia. So now the teeth, I don't know how I'm doing with time, but I'm gonna try to be quick. The teeth are very important as well, because the teeth, let me just call them the organs, for lack of a better word, that the calves need to use for, or the cow needs to use for the production of milk, or which is food for the animals. The teats, when you buy females, you must pay attention to teats. You must avoid, by all means, goat udder, meaning the missing teats, and skewed teats, because the skewed teats are very difficult to reach for the calves, especially first to second days of life. So you need to buy females that have better teeth alignment. How do you test for that? You can take a plate, the same blade that you use for eating at home. You can put the blade underneath the teeth, and if all those 4 teeth can touch the blade, the base of the blade, that is a proper indication of good udder alignment. Then what does that tell you? It tells you that such females won't struggle in terms of feeding their calves, and then you won't have problems in terms of ensuring that your calf grows better, or they don't grow better because of lack of access to those teeth. I'm going to skip some of the slides. They're very technical. They need more time to explain. Prolapse, what you see there is prolapse. So prolapse. Prolapse, most commonly, we have different types of prolapse. There's a vaginal prolapse, there's uterine prolapse, there's rectal prolapse. Some are caused by the size of the calf. Some are caused by the nutrition. If you overfeed your animals, what will happen in most cases is that your females might struggle with calving if it doesn't happen that they calve before time. So you need to ensure that you pay attention to nutrition, body condition score, so that you don't get to experience prolapses, or you also pay attention to the types of bulls that you are using for that purposes or for breeding purposes. Right. That is duplication. I'm going to move on to other slides. The other thing that I want to underscore is ticks control. It's very important to control ticks. There are different breeds or different types of ticks that are found in different locations. So you need to find out from people who have expertise within your area in terms of what are the types of ticks that are found within your area. And ticks also can cause different diseases like your heart water, red water, and so forth. But what is important for me to underscore here is the fact that a majority of the farmers that are farming in communal areas whom rely in the main on the state to assist in terms of controlling ticks, you will find that in around the ticks, there's a whole lot of ticks that are surrounding the ticks. And then what will happen in most cases that the ticks will penetrate through the teats opening and then kill the teats. And then the animal will go on heat and then conceive and then calve a calf. But then what you get to realize on a later stage is that the females can no longer be able to produce milk. It's because the teats are dead. So it's because if you don't control ticks, those ticks that you see, they will penetrate the teats opening, and then ultimately they'll kill the female ticks, and then the females won't be able to produce milk anymore. Even if they calve, but then they cannot provide milk for their kids or for their calves, then by extension, then it's going to affect you then, because you're going to have to buy milk supplements and other things so that you can make sure that you feed your calves so that you can sustain them. Then you have to take out money out of your pocket to feed your calves, which is something that you could have avoided by ensuring that you control ticks within your area. I'm going to skip this. Spoke about supplements. Okay. I was also told that I must speak a little bit about the compliance. Maybe just in line of compliance, the first thing that comes into my mind is brand marking, because each and every livestock owner, according to law, you must have your cattle brand marked. You will have your own unique 2 or 3 letters that is registered to you. You are the only person who has them in terms of how you place them in your animals and so forth. This is provided for, so that during the cases or during some instances whereby your animals are stolen and then they are recovered by the law enforcement officers, if they were to be returned to you as a livestock owner or someone who's claiming that they belong to you, they will require your brand mark certificate, and then the animals must also be brand marked according to your certificate. And then if they are brand marked, and then they will be returned to you as the rightful owner. But then in the absence of being able to have your own brand mark or brand marking your animals, in these instances, then you might not be able to claim back your animals, because any animal that is not brand marked, it doesn't belong to you. It can be anyone's animal. I can still take them as Ernest, and then you come back to me and you come to me and say the animals are yours and so forth, and then I report you to police and say you want to steal my animals, because already I brand marked them with my brand mark. And then even if everyone knows that they belong to you, for the fact that they are not brand marked, you may not be able to get them back from me, because I already branded them with my brand mark letters and so forth. So it's very important. You won't win that battle legally unless you want to go the traditional route of going to a traditional healer who can assist you. But remember, if I stole 10 of your animals, I can still sell 3 of them and go to traditional healer. You and I will meet we will meet halfway. So it's very important to brand mark your animals for compliance purposes. I think some of the things already of most of you understand. If you do want to learn more or know more about this, AFASA and us, we are organizing formal trainings whereby we're going to speak about this in more detail. Yeah, and then I just want to also speak a little bit about the market requirements, because I believe that majority of the farmers are still in the dark in terms of market requirements. Particularly here, I'm referring to market requirements in terms of selling to auctions, selling to abattoirs, selling to feedlots. Let's start with auctions. Market requirements in terms of auctions as a farmer, you need to understand that you need to dehorn or do away with horns on your cattle. The reason for that is because then cattle with horns, they are very difficult to handle. And in most cases, if you sell them to auctions, they will penalize you because they understand that it's going to take them much longer to handle. And also they can cause damages to the skins of other cattle that they will be kept with in the same camp or same camp. So and then damage to the skin, it means damage to the carcass. And then damage to carcass meaning reduction in profit. So they will have to penalize you for that because then they believe that at some point that specific cattle might cause damage to other cattle. That is number one. Number two, ticks control is very important because if you sell your cattle to auctions and then it does have a lot of ticks, meaning the person who's buying that specific cattle, he might have to then go and buy dips and so that he can get rid of those ticks. Then meaning then it's going to cost him money for that purpose. Then you might be penalized in terms of that as well. So the other important thing I'm not going to go into, they might have to look into types of animals, but I'm not going to talk about that now. And then the other important thing that also you must also be able to understand is the body weight and the age of your cattle. Because currently in the industry, we don't have a grading system. We have what we call classification system. What does that mean? It means animals are classified according to age. So the price is determined according to age. By extension, the meat quality is determined according to age, and the price is determined according to age. So therefore, if your animals are much older, the price might be a little bit lower because the belief is that then the meat is a little bit tough, and then the reward is provided for animals that are much younger and so forth. So that is also considered, and the body weight as well, then it will be also considered. But then the price of the weekly price of red meat will also be looked into and so forth. And then the other thing that they get to look into, now I'm moving from auction to abattoirs. So the abattoirs, what they do, they don't pay you on the spot. So they will take your animals, slaughter your cattle, do carcass assessment, evaluate everything, and then on a later stage, they will then pay you the money that you need to be paid for. So now you need to understand your market. Do not impose yourself to market. Do not push your animals to market. Rather pull them towards the market. Because if you push them to market, you are not going to make profit. You're not going to make profit. Actually, what's going to happen? You are going to cry foul most of the time. I think that is the pillar, or is the rules of running a business. The first thing that you must do is understand the market requirements, and if the market requires specific elements in your business, and then stick to that so that you can be able to make profit. So sticking to abattoirs. If you sell to abattoirs, they do carcass assessment. If they find any medication or medical residues, or they find any bruises on the carcasses, or they find any foreign materials or anything that is not healthy for consumption, they will then cut off that part. If it's an abscess, cut off that part and throw it away. What does that mean? It means a reduction in terms of the money that needs to be paid to you. So then you must be careful. So if you are a communal farmer, you don't have your own farm. If I was yourself, I would rather sell to auctions, because if I sell to abattoirs, the carcass assessment and other things, because your animals are exposed to anything from plastics, from feces, from like everything is there. So it's difficult to manage or to control your environment. So you'll rather then, in my opinion, sell to auctions then, because then, because if you sell to abattoirs, then there will be carcass assessment, and then if if your carcass is not released, meaning that you're not going to be paid for that specific carcasses for that specific carcass because there's foreign material or medication or something that is not healthy for consumption. So then rather sell to abattoir. From abattoir, the animals will go to feedlot. Feedlot, they keep record of everything. They have controlled environment. They know what they're doing. And then when they sell to abattoirs or they take their animals to abattoirs, they already know what is happening with their livestock. So it's very important that you understand that, so that you also align yourself with the right market. Right. Yeah. I think I tried to cover almost everything, and I took more than I should. So yeah, I'm just going to leave it here, and I'm going to engage with you during the Q&A session. And you are more than welcome to make comments about my presentation, or to make any recommendations, or to ask any question. If I'm able to answer that some of your questions, I'll definitely do so. Yeah. Then with that being said, normally I normally say then in my language we say so I'm going to leave this fire burning, and then I'm going to leave it to you, the facilitator. Then you let me know what I need to do from here. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Makau. I got it right this time. Apologies for butchering it the first time. In my defense, though, the A, the O's, and the E's are usually after. They're usually before the U. So I read it the other way around.
Actually, sorry, you actually still got it wrong. Actually, it's Makua.
I said Makua, didn't I?
Oh, you didn't say Makau. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I said Makua. This time I said Makua.
Okay.
But can we put our digital hands together for Mr. Makua? Thank you for the presentation. All right. How matsoga guy? There you go. Awesome. Thank you so much. We can allow for a quick Q&A. If there's anyone with a question, you can just raise your hand, and then we'll unmute you on our side, and then you can ask the question. All right, I see a hand from Kutlwano. Let me just unmute you, and you can ask your question. Yes. I think, Kutlwano, you can just unmute on your side, and you can ask the question. Yes.
Good morning, everyone. My question is based on the weaning. So I just wanted to ask, how do you know that your cows are ready to be weaned, and you're not milking for a long time? What is the perfect time to wean your cows?
Okay.
Yes,
you did. Do I answer the question,
right,
or do I wait for other questions?
You can go ahead and answer the question right away.
Okay. Thank you, good question. Yeah, I think it will give it will provide a sense of what do I mean by weaning, and I'm sure majority of you, or all of you, know about weaning. So weaning is the period in which you separate the cows from their mom. I'll just call them their moms. So normally the weaning period is between 6 to 8 months, ideally at 7 months. Why do we need weaning period? So that we can give the moms or the cows enough time to recover. Because if we keep those animals too long, or let's say we keep the calves too long, let's say for argument's sake, for about 9 months with their moms, they will over milk the female. And then that is going to, according to research, is going to reduce the milk production for the following calf. Remember, during the weaning period, the female will be pregnant by then, and then will still need to regain its strength, maintain the body condition score. And then if the calf keeps on milking the female, the next coming calf might have lesser milk, according to research. So you need to provide enough time for the cows to recover from supplying the milk to the calves, but also to be able to maintain the body condition score, so that by the time it's calving for the next calf, is ready for calving number one, but also it can be able to provide enough milk for the calf. So to answer the question, between 6 to 8 months, but then ideally I recommend 7 months. I hope I answered your question,
Thank
Gutwana,
you.
but I still
Thank you.
see your hands up.
Just a follow-up question on that. Just a follow-up question. So do they conceive while they are still taking care of the calf, while the calf is still milking? Can they conceive?
Good question. Yes, absolutely. They conceive. But I just wanted to show you something. Just bear with me, Molebogeng, just 1 second, because I think the question is easy to answer while there's some reflections on the screen. Just don't here it is. Maybe you missed the slides, or maybe it's better to explain it with this slide. If you look on these slides, I hope you can see the slide, ne?
Yes,
Can
I
you
can
see the
see. I can
slides?
see.
Okay. Let me
Yes,
go to
yes, I can see the slides.
this diagram that I'm looking for. Just bear with me for 2 seconds. Okay, this diagram, ne? This diagram. So now this diagram, it has all the months from January to December, right? So all the seasons are split into 3 months. So from spring to winter, right? So let's talk about calving season. The calving season normally is anything around December to February. No, sorry, around anything around September to November. If you are doing a controlled breeding, or you have a breeding program, between September to November, right? It will be a calving season. And then immediately after that calving season, you will have a breeding season if you are using a structured breeding program between December and February. And during that time is during the time when the female is still feeding the calf. So to answer your question, the answer is yes. During the period when the cow is pregnant, it will still be feeding the calf. But then it should have a limitation in terms of how long it feed the calf, because if it feed the calf forever, it will extend towards June, July, August during the last trimester. And then what will happen is that then it will overfeed, or the calf will overmilk the female or the cow. And then during or immediately after calving, during September to November, the cow may not have enough milk to provide for the calf, the new calf. Then as a result, the calf may not have enough feed, it may not be strong enough or be able to develop faster so that it can be able to stand on its own. So the answer is yes.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right, we can go for the next question by Kgaogelekekana. You can just unmute your mic and ask your question.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity extended to me. I'm not sure if this was mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. My question is simple. Would the presentation be made available to us, because I joined late the presentation. I just wanted to check if the presentation, the whole of it, would be made available to us. Thank you.
Okay, I'll take it, Molebogeng. The presentation will be made available in a form of a recording. The The meeting is on record, ne? So we will download the meeting or the recording and put it on RMIS, the Red Meat Industry Services YouTube channel, so that if you want to re-watch the meeting or the presentation, you can still be able to watch it again and again and again. And if you don't understand, you can contact any of the, or you can speak to me or speak to AFASA in terms of how to reach out to me, and then we can explain that to you better.
All right. I hope that was clear. Okay. We can go on to Mahlatsi. You can unmute your mic and ask your question.
Okay, good morning to everyone. My question is about the bargain, the auction. So the auction. The presenter told us, or if you will be facing some difficulties with the abattoir, you might have an alternative to go to auctions. So, and I've been seeing some reviews over bargain. The auctions can sometimes be bargain. They might be not fair, or I can put it that way, in terms of pricing and other things. Now we are now expecting you might a certain amount, then what you allow, you don't get that amount. So do you recommend, would you say what auctions are fair or? Yeah, that's my question.
Okay, that's a very difficult question to answer. If the question is about the fairness, so I don't think I'll be able to answer that question in terms of fairness element. But what I can say is what normally take place when people they buy your animals is they check do you have record keeping system in place, right? You need to have some sort of relationship between you and the buyer, that there's that trust. So if you don't have any form of record keeping system, they start doubting you because they don't know what you vaccinated for, where do you come from, how old is the animal. Majority of the things will be speculated. So that's the other thing that affect the price, because then they don't know what you have done in the past. So and amongst other things that get to be looked into, very most important thing is the record keeping system. But amongst other things is the things that I've mentioned, that you need to look into ticks control. You need to look into how you take care of your livestock. You don't allow your herdsmen to damage the skin of your cattle, because if the skin is damaged, obviously then you're not going to fetch the right price, because then the skin is damaged by extension, meaning the carcass is also damaged. That's another thing. The second thing. The third thing that you have to look into, or they look into, or someone who's buying, even myself, if I'm buying from you, I'll look into the type of animals, but I don't want to explain more into detail about that. So, and then the other thing that they will look into definitely is the body condition score. That is the nutrition, how you look after your animals. If your animals are very thin, meaning chances are, if they are going to use that specific or those group of animals for production purposes, they will have to feed them more often before they get to a certain or specific body condition score. So then they will have to penalize you for price in terms of that, because then there's a lot of work to be done. And then the other thing will be the weight, how much it weighs, how much that specific animal weighs. That will also be considered. So in terms of fairness, like I said, is a very subjective element. I cannot determine whether it's fair or not, but then I can only guide you in terms of requirements so that you can be able to comply.
All right. I believe that was clear for Mahlatsi. We'll just take the last question for this session. Stanley Mashala, you can unmute your mic and ask your question.
Thank you, Khaitsadi. That was a crash course. You did a good job, sir. I think for sure this was not even a waste of time. It was important for one to attend because of what one gained out of the entire session. Now, my question speaks to the issue of the market and your development programs. One, let's say you are a farmer, emerging farmer. You are at the point where you have done the groundwork, you have beautiful cows or bulls ready for the market, and you then decide, no, I'm not going to take them to the auction because of, among others, the fairness issue that the other farmer raised. You want to go to the abattoir. Do you have, in your program and for your emerging farmers that you interact with, do you have at least the list of the abattoirs they can go to? Do you have arrangement with those abattoirs that you have emerging farmers under your program, and that they must be given an opportunity and they must buy their stock or their bulls? If not, why are you not doing it that way? And how do you also make sure that you have a track record of the farmers that you interact with growth and making sure that they access the market to the point where they can also export their animals? Do you have those kind of programs? Are you that organized as far as the question of market access for your emerging farmers is concerned? And just as a parting shot, just to give motivation to my fellow farmer who spoke about the issue of fairness that you said you can't speak to at the auction, I can only say to him that one of the things that ensures fairness is the quality of your cows. Because a beautiful thing is a beautiful thing. If it's in that circle or in that ring, and people say, I want it for 10, someone will want it for 12. So do not lose hope or heart about that. Just go make sure that you go do the right things, because a beautiful thing is a beautiful thing. People will bid for it. I mean, recently there was a goat auction in Pretoria. I mean, there's a farmer, Matopi Genetics or something, whose goat was bought for 22,000 rands. I mean, so a beautiful thing is a beautiful thing. So you just go do the work. Don't get discouraged, because at the end of the day, the only thing that is going to ensure fairness is the quality of your product. That much I can tell. And I'll pack it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Stanley. Thank you. You just explained it very well there. Your question it was a little bit long. I'm just going to try my best to answer all the elements of your question. But if I didn't, you'll let me know. The first thing you asking about the interventions that we have to assist farmers in terms of market access. So look, we cannot, well, maybe I should not, we cannot, but in terms of the customer and the seller relations, it's the responsibility of the farmers to determine where they want to sell, and then it's the responsibility of the buyer to determine what they want to buy, where and how. But with that being said, what we are trying to do is, like, we have relationship, let's say, for example, with some feedlots in the country. What we do, we also encourage the people who are buying animals, or the feedlotters which are buying animals in communal areas or in different farms, to go to those group of farmers, if it's a group of farmers, or if it's individual farms, to go to them and explain to them their requirements in terms of if they were to buy animals from them. And one example is like for example, I always, most of the time, interact with Nkandla from Karanvi. So normally what he does is he comes to you and then he explains to you their market requirements, how they would like their product to be in terms of age, in terms of body weight, in terms of the type, the color, and other things, then you are going to raise or comply to those standards or those requirements. And then once they realize that you comply, and then they'll also or give you specification in terms of number of cattle that they will be able to come and collect from yourself or from yourself as an individual farmer or as a group of farmers collectively. For example, for argument's sake, maybe they would say they want 48 cattle because they also cover the expenses for transport. So then they do that. That is our initiatives in terms of ensuring that we also bring the market to you so that you can be able to negotiate with the market, because we don't have the rights to negotiate on behalf of the farmers to the market, but we can put you in the same room so that you speak and then agree or disagree. Then if you agree, what happens is that then they come with the trailer, they weigh your livestock, and then they provide you, or they buy depending on your agreements in terms of the prices and in terms of the body weight and other elements that they have to consider in consultation with you. So that is one thing that we are doing. But in terms of abattoirs, what I think we can definitely consider is also, depending on where you come from, we can always try to link you to your nearest abattoir or find a representative of that specific abattoir from the regions where you come from, and then link you to sales agent or someone who will assist you on behalf of that specific abattoir, so that he can speak to you, tells you about or explain to you the pros and the cons, the pros and the cons, or what is required, and then when can you sell and all other things, so that when you make determination or decisions to go and sell to them, you already are informed in terms of the requirements. So that's one thing that we can definitely look into. But what we are already doing, or at least what I've already been doing in consultation with Nhlanhla, is asking him to come to you and then explain, present, tell you the requirements, agree and disagree, and then you have the product, and he comes to collect the product on specifications that you provide him with the quality that he's looking for, and then also with the quantity that he might be looking for, because then the transport need to be covered by the company. So yeah, that is what we are doing. I hope I answered your question.
No, you have answered it well. Thank you so much. I think that was very good also. I don't regret I asked the question. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Red Meat Industry, for the presentation. I hope it was very quite insightful on my side, and I hope it was the same for the people that are on the webinar. We are going to take a 2-minute break. We are going to put a countdown. So this 2-minute break is not, don't leave the session hanging, and then you don't come back, or yeah, you take a 2-minute nap. Don't do that. Please make sure that you stay in the session. We are going to be back. We just want you to digest the information that you've gotten properly, and also take a break. You can go drink water, maybe have a snack. I don't know what you're going to do with that 2 minutes, but we'll be back shortly. Thank you. All right, apologies for the delay. I just want to ask if there's anyone from the department that is in the webinar who would step forward for...
Sorry, Chairperson, my apologies.
No.
I had gone out for that break and missed it. I see also Dr. Mahamata is raising her hand. My apology. I just came back. I'm also listening now to the voice note from Mr. Luol. Can I proceed with the presentation?
No problem.
Or Dr. Mahamata, maybe she wanted to say something before I proceed. Her hand is up.
Yeah, I think we can go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Just sharing the presentation. Okay. I hope it's showing. I'm just putting it on a presentation mode.
It is showing.
Thank you very much, Chair. I did something. Oh, yes. And good morning to all the people in attendance or on the call. And also, I understand you have other people who are attending at the hall where you are. I'm going to give a brief presentation on animal diseases, particularly foot and mouth disease, with the current situation, as you all know, that we are having an outbreak of foot and mouth. Before I do that, Chair, I just want to mention that I have other colleagues. When I checked here, there's Dr. Florence Mahamata. She is the Deputy Director, Animal Health in Sekhukhune District. I forgot to show a bit of the video just to show myself, but it's not very clear. There's no lights here in the office. I'm Dr. Bonan Mashao, Deputy Director, Animal Health in Mopani District. And I saw Maria Forger also working in Zanini Animal Health. Without wasting much time, Chair, I also want to mention that I was very happy at the beginning when you were doing the introductions to hear that we're having young farmers. And I think the future is bright if we all work together and support yourselves as farmers, that in tomorrow we'll have more food on the table and better life for all. So I just wanted to mention that I was very impressed to hear young people taking up the stage in terms of farming. And I think our role as agriculture is to support yourselves so that there's good production and food on the table, food security. Just want to continue with the presentation. This presentation, as you can see, Chair and colleagues, it speaks of weeks. We updated it up till last week. And the person who's helping, he was in the meeting. I think he left the meeting, Mr. Gerald Kutzer. He was also connected as Deputy Director, Epidemiology and Disease Control at head office. So it speaks to weeks. We are on week 29. And so it was updated until last week. I'll touch on that as I proceed with the presentation. As of now, we are actually, this slide speaks of the positive cases that we have in the province, in Limpopo province. And we are having about 180 cases. I'll break it down as indicated here. You would see that we've got 84 positive cases, which have been confirmed through laboratory results that we received. And you'll see we've got suspect cases, which sits at 96. The suspect cases are those that we diagnosed the disease on a clinical picture and await results. There were delays at the laboratory, but I see a lot of results are coming in now. They resolve that challenge. And the negative results is where we sort of saw the lesions and wanting to confirm if it is indeed foot and mouth, and they came back negative. Sometimes you could see foot and mouth lesions and convinced clinically, and you send samples, they come back negative. There could be other factors contributing to it. You might find that you took the wrong samples, or samples were not properly collected or packaged and so on. So there could be other factors contributing to the negatives. And the closing or closed outbreaks is those that we had outbreaks, and then following the investigations and inspections and so on, we then confirmed that there's no longer virus circulation in that area, and then through the normal processes that we follow, then we'll close that outbreak and send documentation to the national office. Pending 251. It's where, as I said, waiting for results. So basically, that's the situation. And there's day zero. Some may ask later, what is this day zero? There's the day that we start counting that we have done our inspections and there's no virus circulation in the area. So it's counting from day zero towards closing the outbreak. That's where you get the day zeros. And this is being done also to alleviate the challenge in terms of trade, because when there's an outbreak, we put restrictions in terms of movement, and the restrictions are just there to manage the disease spread so that we limit the spread of the disease or reduce the risk. The next slide, it speaks to what I was saying now, but in a breakdown in terms of the districts. You would see the red representing the positives and the orange reflecting the suspect cases, and the green being the negatives, and I think it's brown. I think there's a challenge with some men and color reflecting closed outbreaks. And you would see Waterberg is where we're having more challenges with the disease. Even now, more results are still coming through. Wembe, that's where the outbreak started in December. They still now have outbreaks, particularly in Makado area. Suspects, you'll see they are still picking up suspect lesions or cases and sending results through samples waiting for results. Skokune as well, you'll see the positives a bit smaller compared to the others, and suspect cases are still they are still picking up suspect cases. I think the lowest is Mopani district. We had very few positives, and I think we had 2 confirmed through laboratories, and the suspect cases also very few. And Capricorn as well, number of positives, there's still results coming through on that. So we still have virus circulation in the but slightly gone down. I think also with the few things, control measures that have been put in place, movement control, and also the vaccination programs that we embarked on. And this also reflecting the cumulative on a weekly basis. You'll see week 25 reflecting the week we had this number of 77 positives, week 26. And this gives a clear indication in terms of the positive cases that we are picking up. If you look at some weeks like week 27, week 28, there was no confirmed positive case up to 29th, but the suspect cases, we're still picking up lesions on the ground. You'll see 83, 88, 96. And I must assure all of you that if you compare this to other provinces, we are still at a lower scale as a province in terms of outbreaks. Other provinces are at higher numbers. And also this reflecting from December when we had the initial outbreak, we had positive cases, and you look at now sitting at 84. As I said, combining with suspect cases, it brings us to almost 180 positives with those that are confirmed and those that are suspect. So that is just the indication from December to January. And then also, the graph reflects a similar picture that I've alluded to. The red reflecting the positives, as you see, starting from December, and the peak up to May, sitting at about that 84. It's up to June, actually, up to 84. And the suspect cases more or less going on the same level. But there's obviously delays in getting results. That's why you'll see the suspect cases being a bit lower. And then similar on a bar graph, December, and reflecting the confirmed cases in red and the suspect cases in orange. you will then be able to see the peak that somewhere in January 26, you'll see the peak of suspect cases. And if you look again in May, you'll see the peak going the highest. And towards now June, we've got more just suspect cases and awaiting results. And then the EPIC have a similar kind of picture that I've explained, but explaining in terms of districts highlighted in colors at the bottom, and it's just to indicate in terms of districts on the same issue that I touched on. Capricorn in blue. No, it's purple. I think there's it's Kukune, sorry, in purple, and then Capricorn in blue. So this is just reflecting in terms of districts. And the map here is just a reflection of the positive and the suspect cases. Positive, as I said, in red, and the suspect cases in orange. And you'll see the blue dots reflecting the day zeros that we have determined. It's mainly in the Waterberg area. You'll see Villa down here, Mudimule, the side. So mainly Waterberg day zeros. And there's also here in Zanin, Moholoboto, we determined day zero. We had positive results there. But this is a clear reflection, and for orientation to everyone, Tulamela, Wembe, it's here. That's where the outbreak started in December. And not necessarily to mean that the outbreak then spread to the rest of the areas. Other areas got disease from elsewhere and so on. But in the province, we started with the outbreak here. And then we then picked up the disease in Makado area. And also in Mopani district, Greater Letaba, we also had an outbreak in that area. And you'll then see also the area of Kolako around Maruleng. And similarly, Pulukwani area, Mulemule, Capricorn district, as Kukune district at the bottom here. You'll see Elias Mutswaledi and so on, Greater Tubatsi. These dots, I'll actually show another map later. And then the Waterberg district as well. You'll see the breaks. I just wanted to orientate everyone on the map. And this is just to explain, is basically what I've said in a summary, that the first detection was in December in Wembe, and then followed Waterberg. And currently all the districts have experienced infections. And as I said, 180 positive cases with a split of 84 confirmed and 96 suspect cases, and also illustrating the weeks in which we had the peak of infections. You see, week 19 we had 11 cases, and then week 14 it went higher to 14, and so on. And the current situation, as I've explained. And I think I must say, Waterberg taking the lead in terms of the infections at about 35%, and the other districts follows. I did mention that Mopani being the lowest in terms of the cases that are there. And then on the slide here, it talks to the vaccinations. We have since March been on the vaccination drive to try and cap the spread of the disease. And we started in around March because that's the time we started receiving vaccines. Before then, we were managing the situation in terms of the little vaccines that we had on stock, and also movement control, inspections, and so on. So we were, and awareness campaigns. There were a lot of awareness campaigns that have been done in different ways to the farmers. So in totality, we have vaccinated about 500,000 cattle. Currently, this presentation was updated until last week. we're sitting at about 505 or 504,126 cattle that have been vaccinated. So we keep updating the slides. But here we're at 495,102 animals that have been vaccinated. And there's a breakdown of commercial and communal emerging farms as we capture in our system. You would see that commercial and mainly Waterberg is sitting at 26,000 and not 26,000, 260,000, sorry, and then 194,000 at communal and 39,000 at on the emerging farmers or emerging side. And also a pie just to reflect the same as I was explaining, coming down to 495,000, which I said now on the update, it's at around 504,000 cattle. And I must also give an indication, which is not an accurate number, it's an estimated number. We're looking at about 1.2 million cattle in the province. As you know, cattle are born every day, cattle are slaughtered every day, others moved out of the province and in and out and so on, but we're sitting at around that number. So when we're talking about 500,000 vaccinated, it's against that 1.2 million in number. And the same breakdown in terms of district, looking at week on week in terms of vaccinations. And this may be just to reflect, there's a slight drop if you look at week 28 going to week 29. There's a few factors. Some colleagues, because of fatigue, had to take leave and so on. So that's why the number dropped. It's going to start picking up again as from next week. But it was necessary. Most colleagues never rested since December. So that's why there's a slight drop in terms of numbers from week 28. But I will show another slide which shows that it's not really a big drop, even though the figures reflect there. And you look at this graph, it reflects the weekly animals vaccinated versus the cumulative total in terms of vaccination. And you'll see the graph in terms of weeks, it starts picking up from week 10 and steadily going up and then eventually rising to that 504 that I spoke. But here I think it ended at that 495, but now it's about 500. And on a weekly basis, you'll see the coverage in terms of bus. You'll see week 28, we were at about almost 38,000 cattle vaccinated, and then went down to that 19,000 cattle vaccinated in week 29, which I did explain. And then the slide here, I hope I'm getting closer to the end. The slide reflects the vaccinations as I've alluded earlier. You'll see on your right hand side, this is what we call protection zone with vaccination. So it is the line along the Kruger Park, the Gianni Collins Chava, starting from Messina side. We vaccinate routinely in this area just to manage the immunity, because the cattle often get to mix with buffaloes from the Kruger Park. So that was done around March, and it depends on the vaccine we use. We often use the vaccine from Botswana, which had a 4 months immunity. So we had to give a booster every 4 months. Currently, we have used one of these vaccines that we received, Bio-Optogen, which covers for 6 months. So we'll be repeating the vaccination around August, September. And these are the vaccination coverages in the province, as I indicated in terms of orientation. The Tulamela Vembe area, Makado. So you would see all these vaccinations, Waterberg, Skukune, Mopani, Greater Itaba, Zanini, and so on, Polokwane, Capricorn area. So there is good coverage, and you would see that there's still areas to be done. Colleagues are hard at work, and we hope we'll be able to cover. As the minister has indicated, that the aim is to do about 80%. It doesn't mean we'll stop when we get to 80, but we'll be comfortable if we can vaccinate about 80% of the national herd. So we're also trying to assist to get to the number from the provincial side. The same slide reflects the vaccinations, as I've explained. And then this slide reflects a picture of the positive suspect cases that I've indicated. And this is compared with, I just want to see the previous slide. Okay, yes. This is compared with properties that we have that are registered for keeping buffaloes. These buffaloes are, we call them specific disease-free buffaloes. So often you'll hear people saying disease-free buffaloes. The properties are registered to keep those. So this color reflects the properties. And there are some areas like Waterberg has a lot of buffalo registered. I see there's a hand up from Mr. Mokonyan, you through the chair.
We will ask the questions after the presentation. So you can just continue with okay. The presentation, Mr. Mashao.
Oh, thank you, Chair. I thought maybe I'm not audible or this problem. Thank you, Chair. And these are the positive cases which poses a risk to the buffalo industry. So we're trying our very best to try and vaccinate around those infected and suspect cases so that we don't have a spillover into the buffalo properties and other game. So this was just to reflect that. And this is just a reflection of the vaccines that we have received up to this far. As a province, we have received 775,660 doses of different vaccines. There's Bioaftogen and Dolvet. And all these vaccines get distributed to the districts as soon as they are received. You will see the breakdown in the next slide. Actually, it's even reflected here in terms of breakdown of in terms of the distribution. You'll see Mopani received 114,000 doses and Skukune 111 and so on. And so then the districts are able to manage and distribute to colleagues and keep the necessary records. And also this just to reflect the distribution. Waterberg, because of its challenges, received more vaccines, and you'll see the colors at the bottom reflecting the Dolvet and the Turkey and I'm forgetting the other country where we're receiving the vaccines, the Bioaftogen. Initially, in the beginning, we received Bioaftogen, which had set 1 and 2 serotypes. And currently in the country, we haven't had set 3, just to sort of bring comfort to everyone. We have been having more of set 1 circulating in the country and a bit of set 2. But now we're having Bioaftogen that covers all the 3 serotypes, and Dolvet also covering the 3 serotypes. And towards finishing, Chair, I just want to reflect that ourselves as the department, I think our MEC keeps mentioning the public-private partnership, and that we put into practice. We're having our joint operations committee, which is also called the Priority Committee, FMD, because of the link with other stakeholders. But all the stakeholders are represented. Just wanting to show AFASA on the right, it's represented. We also having RMIS, just to mention the 2 or 3 red meat producers organization, Limpopo, the SNDF, Cockstar, and so on, LIDET. So it's a collective effort to deal with FMD. It's not a disease that you can easily wake up and say, I'm an expert, veterinary services, I'll deal with it on my own. It needs the coordination of all the stakeholders, the industry, organized agriculture, and so on, and farmers representatives. So we're having our meetings. They've been on a weekly basis. We have agreed from last week that we'll have meetings every 2 weeks. The last meeting was on Monday last week, and we're able to share information, discuss issues, and so on. The one thing I've picked up, which I must mention before going to the next slide, is that sometimes things emanate on the ground and not addressed on the ground, and then eventually they find themselves to be at the job, which we welcome very much and iron them. But it's always important that whenever there's challenges on the ground, the state vet is there, the technician is there to resolve those issues on the ground before they get to the minister or to the JOC, to any other platform. This also is a reflection. I just took one slide. This doesn't mean we're only working with RMIS, but I must mention that RMIS have been assisting also with ear tags, and we appreciate greatly as a department for their assistance. Other organized agriculture and industry have been assisting with other things, the auction houses and so on. But this was just to reflect a slide. And in summary, to finish off, Chairperson, it's what I've indicated, that we're having about 180 positive cases and pending results at that 251, as I mentioned, and we gave a breakdown in terms of weeks progress as we vaccinate and also the cases. And we have vaccinated about 500 cattle up to this far. It's from March to June, so it's about 3 months. And without having extra manpower, except the support we're getting from industry and organized agriculture, we managed to get to almost 500,000, which is also breakdown in terms of commercial, communal, and so on. And we recently interviewed positions for animal health technician. We interviewed for 18 posts last week, and hopefully the appointment will be sooner. And I saw another advert for another 18 animal health technician, just to have more boots on the ground. And we are in a process, it's almost at the final stage, to procure 250,000 ear tags, FRID. And as I said, currently we are being said a lot by RMIS, and I think that is the main issue in terms of identification, because if you're vaccinating and you can't identify your animals, then it becomes a problem. So we're trying our level best to quickly get more and more ear tags. And it brings me to the end of the presentation, Chairperson, and I thank you very much for inviting us.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Mashao. Thank you. I'm seeing the digital hands. Thank you so much for the lovely presentation. It was quite insightful. We can now go on to taking the questions. We'll start with Boni Motlao. You can just unmute your mic and ask your question.
Thank you for the opportunity. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, I wanted to ask you, how long will it take after the vaccination? You vaccinate the livestock, say today, and then before you slaughter, how long the vaccination will take in the body of that particular animal? Normally, it takes 7 to 14 days. And then earlier on, I wanted to highlight the blurry of the network. The network, at some point, it was blurring and we missed some critical points there. Thank you.
Dr. Mashao, you can just respond to that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Chair. And thanks for the question. My apologies with the network. I wasn't aware, but we will share the presentation so that colleagues can go through it at their own time. Yes, the withdrawal period, as we call it, after using medication or vaccines, mostly it would be written on that leaflet, depending on the type of vaccine that is being used. But commonly, as you indicated, about 14 days. Some scholars say if the withdrawal period is not indicated, to be on the safe side, rather consider 30 days. So I think it's always best to look at the leaflet or consult with the animal health technician on the ground during the vaccination date or the state veterinarian. Then they will check in. It will depend obviously on the vaccine that is being used. But yes, safely to say about 14 days. And if not indicated at all, about 30 days would be safer. Thank you, Chair.
All right. Thank you. I'll hand it over to the next person. I don't know how to say this name, but someone Apani. I'm sorry, I don't want to butcher your name, but you can just unmute your mic and ask your question. Methreketsa Apani. You have your hand up. You can just unmute your mic and ask your question. All right.
Okay, no, thank you. I think it was a mistake. I was just up.
Oh, okay. Right, you can just put your hand down. All right. Kutlwano, you can ask your question.
The question I wanted to ask, because now I'm from the village. We use communal land, and we are very deep in the village. And I haven't, or rather, my question would be: is this vaccinating program for FMT inclusive to everyone, from your substantial to your small scale farmers? Because I haven't seen. Now I live in the Northern Cape. Just to point that out, I live in the Northern Cape, and it hasn't been evident that the FMT vaccination are taking place, or maybe I'm just not aware of the activities. Thank you.
Through you, Chair, can I respond?
Yes.
Oh, thank you very much. And thanks for the question. I must say, every Monday, as a department, we have a veterinary working group meeting, which is chaired by our national office and is inclusive to all the provinces. It's mainly provincial directors and chief directors for vet services. And all the provinces are busy vaccinating. And I think it would be best for the colleague maybe that I'll maybe put my number on the chat so that we can connect him to the offices there. But I think they will definitely vaccinate. As I said, the minister has indicated that we're going to vaccinate the national herd and aiming for about 80% of the national herd. So that is in all the provinces, in all the communal, commercial, and emerging. When I said communal, on those maps, I was referring to the small scale farmers and so on, that we're rolling out this vaccination to all the communities, the village I was saying, Makado, we're vaccinating those villages, Madombija and so on, similar to other areas. So we aiming to cover the whole country and later then give a booster, but it will be directed by the national office. The aim is to cap the spread of the disease and eventually stop the virus so that this FMD challenge goes away. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you. We have a hand from Mr. CEO, Bongani. You can
Okay.
ask.
Thank you, Chair. I just thought maybe I would also add in relation to the question that the gentleman asked from the Northern Cape, that as AFASA, we do have an FMD task team, which is a national task team that sits and discusses these issues on a weekly basis. Every Thursday from 6 to 8 o'clock, we have an FMD task team. Today, we are not having that task team because I thought that most of the issues will be covered in this session. But next week, Thursday, from 6 to 8, we'll have a task team. And we usually have national officials from the department. It's mainly Dr. Mkhojane, Dr. Emily Mkhojane, who gives us an update at a national level in terms of what is happening, what kind of support we can get from the various provincial department as well. And she has been very kind and generous with the information, including who are the provincial coordinators, provincial vets, chief vets from the provinces that we can liaise with when we need any kind of information. But we also have our own program that we have partnered with various partners, including private sector. Our government is a key partner, but we have a partnership with obviously RMIS. We also distributing ear tags that we receive from RMIS. So all our provincial coordinators for FMD are able to access the ear tags and are able to ensure that in communal areas, our farmers also receive ear tags. We want to ensure that in communal areas there's vaccination. So we liaise with the department, with the province, and if there are areas that have not been reached, we engage them. We also support them with information and awareness programs. We have a partnership with AGBIS, who gives us biosecurity material so that we are able to supply to our farmers in the various areas, because part of the intervention is really ensuring that the animal health and biosecurity measures are well in place in those areas. So I'm just saying we have a partnership with Place Central that provides the mobile units for vaccinations when we have vaccinations. We have a lot of partnerships that we've been able to coordinate through our structures within AFASA. So I would urge some of the members that are here to get in contact with their provincial coordinators from the youth side and also from the provincial support unit, so that they can get access to the information. I'm sure that Leolo will be able to provide a lot of support and information from our point of view, because our focus is ensuring that our communal areas are also addressed and they are also reached in terms of vaccinations, in terms of all the support that is required. Thank you very much. I just thought maybe I would share that. By the way, I'm also part of the Industry Coordinating Council. So I work closely with all the other organizations, your RPOs, your RMISs, and all the other industry organizations. So there is a coordinated effort. I think the speaker, the doctor that was presenting, gave us a clear sense that this is a collective effort from government to private sector, and all stakeholders are putting their hands together to ensure that we provide necessary interventions to ensure that we curb and we actually eradicate the disease in some within a certain time frame. So I'm appealing for us not to sit when we do not have the information. Get in touch with the organizers here or any other one coming from AFASA in those offices. They can provide you with the necessary information that you might require. But I invite you to also join on our FMD awareness program, and because that is where we get all the information in terms of what is happening, not only within the provincial space, but at a national level. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, CEO, for the additions. I really appreciate.
Thank you so much, CEO. Thank you so much for your input. And thank you so much, Mr. Mashao, for the presentation. I'm just checking for questions. All right. Dr. Mashao has also left his contact details in the chat if you do want to reach out to him. We are almost at the end of the session. We're just left with a couple of items on our program, and we should end. All right, apologies for that. We'll just have Mr. Mashao with the announcement from the Youth Provincial Executive Committee to, Lifa.
Thank you very much, Level, and good afternoon to everyone here. Thank you for showing up. This is a very positive feedback that there are people on the ground that want to know, and we're very glad that our stakeholders were able to provide us with the necessary information that would help us cross this bridge that we're all as livestock farmers trying to get across. So mine is very short. It's just to report on the compliance drive. This webinar is the first step, was basically the first step in us trying to make our members aware, as well as other farmers, that there are organizations such as RMIS, the government, as well as AFASA, that are trying to help us with the compliance of markets, as well as vaccination and what is happening with regards to FMD. So there is a compliance drive that will be happening during the month of June and July. The compliance drive program is scheduled to take place around the 15th. It will help with assisting farmers with compliance and documentation, registration, as well as helping most emerging and rural farmers to be aligned in terms of record keeping and as well as their business formalization. Other events that are also on the card are market access, not only for livestock farmers. There are events for crop farmers, crop producers that we're still working on, that will take place during the course of the year, starting now in June, July, with other stakeholders such as retail partners, the government, Grain SA. So please be in touch, keep in touch. I put our information, some of our information in the chat box. Just to repeat, you can get in touch with us on our email is info@afasa.org.za. You can find us, the Limpopo AFASA committee. You can find our Instagram page is @_official AFASA Limpopo. And then for you, those who want to register, read more about the organization, our website is www.afasa.org.za, as well as those who want to register and join the organization. So yeah, I think that's from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lefa, for the announcements. I'd like to bring forth Mrs. Madisha for closing remarks.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mologadi Madisha, and standing in as the Deputy Chairperson for AFASA Limpopo Provincial Executive Council. My duties are very, very simple. It's just to give a vote of thanks to our participants, our stakeholders, our young farmers. I'll start with the Department of Agriculture. We truly, truly appreciate you making time and offering the young people in the Youth Month an opportunity to learn about foot and mouth and the roles and duties of the province. And I'll also extend our warm gratitude to RMIS, that day, Ernest Makua. You always been a gem in our presence as young people. You are leading the pack into the greater pastures when it comes to livestock, animal health, the mating and I'm not mating, but making sure that farmers, young farmers, are drawing so much strength and courage from you and your members, your office members. We truly appreciate the support. And as always, we're always going to see you in the next Farmers Day, in the next webinar, because Omotowarona. I'll also want to extend the gratitude to the National Office of AFASA, our CEO, Mr. Bongani Msimang. Your presence means a lot as part of the guidance and leading us as the young organizers of this of the province. So we really appreciate your presence. I'd also like to extend to the PEC, our provincial executive councils. Some could not join us, but Mr. Tau, thank you so much for being by the side of the young people. Farmers, young farmers, is still our youth month. May we be the change that we want to see in the sector. May we shake the doors, shake the trees and see what falls. May we be present and may we be known, may we be visible. AFASA Youth and the entire committee, we appreciate your effortless commitment to be leading the youth in the province. You have shown so much dedication to the programs. Your programs are already to the par all the time. And that shows how much the future of South Africa, the future of Limpopo can be so bright when we have young people like you leading and being part of the solutions. We truly urge young people to join AFASA. In one of the conferences, our president, Mr. Mthembu, said AFASA is like a teaspoon, that brings the milk, the sugar, the hot water together to create your cup of tea. That's what we are. The CEO mentioned that we have so many stakeholder relation with different members that are bringing the teas, the sugar, the milk, the hot, the cup, and all of that. So the role of AFASA is to ensure that all of this thing put together, they create a very beautiful cup of tea for all of us, be it from the rural areas, subsistence, smallholder, commercial level, young, old, women, people with disability. It is the role of our AFASA that we ensure that everybody gets to sit and have a very balanced cup of tea. So with that being said, I would like to hand over back to you, Madam Chairperson, and thank you to you too, before I even forgot. A lot of times we forget program directors. Thank you for moderating exceptionally well, and you've done a great job, madam. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Madisha, and thank you for the shout out. We do, everyone just tends to leave us out, but thank you for the acknowledgement. And also a special shout out to the Youth Provincial Executive Committee. This wouldn't have been possible without you. We sat down, we planned this. This event was, this webinar was properly planned. And thank you for everyone that participated, the farmers that are present, the stakeholders, the CEO. Thank you so much for your contribution. Thank you so much for those that presented. It was quite insightful. So we are at the end of our session. Please be aware of the links that have been posted in the chat box, the contact details that are posted, and also the slides. We'll make sure that the slides are put on our social media platforms, but they'll also be posted on WhatsApp, and the recording will also be made available at the RMIS YouTube and also on our platform. So please make sure that you do go and follow through so that you can have access to this presentation. All right, thank you. Goodbye. See you on the next one. Thank you.